Domestic terrorism. That is how FBI Director Christopher Wray labeled the January 6th attack when rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol with lawmakers inside. It was Wray's first testimony since that day that left several people dead, 5, and now more than 300 people facing various charges. The director also defended the Bureau's handling of intelligence before lawmakers and warned the number of domestic terrorism investigations in this country is on the rise. NewsNation correspondent Joe Khalil live in D.C. tonight. And Joe, what did we hear today from Mr. Wray that stood out to you?
Rob, it's significant that the director of the FBI came forward and spoke publicly today because, it's not like some of the other law enforcement officials. A lot of the agencies that had to respond to January 6th rely on intelligence that actually comes from the work of the FBI. So there were some questions about how that communication process broke down. And also, as you mentioned, about the rise of extremism, a threat that he says caused January 6th and still is with us today.
I was appalled, like you, at the violence and destruction that we saw that day.
For the first time, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, spoke publicly about the January 6th Capitol attack. He says his agency is aggressively going after those responsible.
We've identified hundreds of suspects and opened hundreds of investigations in all but one of our 56 field offices. And of those identified, we've arrested already more than 270 individuals to date.
Director Wray's the latest in a series of security and law enforcement officials to testify about January 6th and about continuing threats of extremist violence. He says the FBI is currently investigating about 2,000 open domestic terrorism cases.
The number of arrests, for example, of racially motivated violent extremists who are what you would categorize as white supremacists last year was almost triple the number it was in my first year as director.
In an independent report from its program on extremism, George Washington University researchers found right-wing extremist militants made up just a fraction of the overall January 6th crowd, but played, quote, an outsized role in key moments of the event, as well as in organizing the behavior of other individual participants. Wray put to rest some conspiracy theories that the violence was perpetrated by violent leftist groups like Antifa, posing as former President Trump's supporters.
Do you have any evidence that the Capitol attack was organized by, quote, fake Trump protesters?
We have not seen evidence of that.
Lawmakers in both parties grilled the FBI director about why his agency didn't act more forcefully on intelligence that a violent attack was not only possible, but likely.
I think we can agree that the FBI had credible information that there was likely to be violence on January 6th. Can we agree on that?
Well, I don't know that we had assessed its credibility. We certainly had information that was concerning about the potential for violence.
And the investigations and all of that around January 6th are still going to be continuing to happen here in Washington. A number of law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, will continue to work on those. And Congress is also doing its part. In fact, tomorrow there's another hearing. 2 Senate committees are holding a joint hearing to see what was going on at the Pentagon during the January 6th attack. Reporting live tonight in the nation's capital, Joe Khalil, NewsNation.